So thanks for getting up and joining me this morning. I will try to make this a painless exercise. Hopefully you'll get a few things out of it. So as you know, I'm Michael Bennett. I oversee global marketing for Cendyn, based in the States in San Diego. And so I'm over here, spent a few days in Singapore. And just a little bit about this presentation. So I've done this presentation in New York for HSMAI for the digital conference, so they have more of a marketing lens on it. And then I just did it in Minneapolis at Rock, and I had more of a revenue focus. So I kind of combined the two, and it says many with free tools. So I'm going to walk through, I think, 6 or 7 total case studies here at the end. The last couple are not with free tools, but I think they're important to think about from a hotelier perspective and the things you can do with the data that's out there. So, but before I jump into the case studies, I want to talk about sort of the promise of hotel data science and what it means from a hotelier perspective, and sort of the challenges we face and the things that really need to happen before you can tackle something like this, whether you're using a free tool or you have an enterprise BI tool. So I always like to start with something that's funny, so let's take a minute and read that. I promise this is not the case today. But the reality is that the promise of data science is very real for hoteliers, and there's companies that are doing it really well, both individual and brands from a hotel perspective. And then there's folks that aren't doing it at all. They're not leveraging the data. And the ones that are starting to leverage data are the ones that are going to win, because it does make an impact on the business, and you'll see that here shortly. So, the promise is scary, right? When you think about all the things and all the data that's out there and your ability to pull it together and use it and leverage, it's overwhelming because there's a lot. And you think about the average hotel's got, 4 to 6 systems. Many are archaic, unfortunately. It's just the reality of the business we're in. But it is possible. You can get that data together, and when you do, you can get some really meaningful actions. And it's just not a marketing or a revenue exercise, it's an operational exercise as well. So why does it matter, and what can it do? So from a revenue perspective, it takes the emotion out of the revenue decisions. So for the revenue leaders in the room, and marketers, sales folks, even the vendors, you know that when you're talking about revenue decisions within a hotel environment, there's always emotion involved. We should be doing this because I feel like this group deserves it, or because this type of business is better. If you really use the data to drive the revenue decisions, it will take the emotion out of it. You're going to make better and smarter decisions. Drives better results, right? Whether you measure ROI, STAR, ADR, EBITDA, return on ad spend, whatever your metrics are, it will drive better results if you're pulling all that data together. It allows us to better communicate to our stakeholders. In most cases with hoteliers, that's a management company or an owner. And those are financial-oriented people. They live and die by their spreadsheets. You'll see a lot of this isn't spreadsheet, but it's their language, right? So you can communicate better with them. It allows us to better understand our guests. So when we understand our guests better, we can deliver better, more personalized, relevant experiences, which drive better results. And that's not just an online thing. That's just an e-commerce or a digital thing. That's an on-property thing as well. So what's involved? Let's talk about multiple data sources, what it means, and the different things you need to think about as you start this journey. So multiple data sources. So this is an example, probably an aggressive one in terms of number of data sources, but not uncommon from what we see. And you can see a full journey. I don't have a little laser thing, but there's a full journey here from the plan, book, pre-stay, arrival, they stay, and then the retention, trying to win them back, and sort of all the touch points around here. So the reality is if you don't get all that data into some sort of central repository, whether it's a CRM system, a data warehouse, whatever it is, your ability to look at that data holistically and make smart, educated decisions that are going to improve the business is going to be really limited. So, but beyond that data, it requires infrastructure. So I'm going to talk in a minute, a couple slides, about the importance of working together within the different teams within a hotel or a brand or a management company. So infrastructure is IT, right? You know, not everyone loves working with their IT department, but the reality is when you're looking at data science and connectivity of systems, you're going to have to work with IT. You're going to have infrastructure. Departmental alignment, I just mentioned it. Got to break down the silos. It has to happen. Can tell you firsthand from our clients, my past experience on the hotelier side for a decade plus, if you don't have departmental alignment, these projects are destined to fail. They're too big, they're too complex, and you have to knock those silos down. Executive commitment. Got to have executive support. So if you're not the leader for an initiative like this, you know, do a small project, get a win, roll it up, share it with those leaders, get their buy-in and support, because it's going to take resources, both people and money, to do this. Regardless of the tool set you're using, it does take time and resources, people and money. And then measurement KPIs. You got to understand what's success look like. If you don't go into a project like this understanding, again, it's destined to fail. You're going to get results back, and you'll be like, you know, what am I looking at? What am I really trying to measure? What's success mean for the hotel? So industry expertise. So an expertise in general, right? It's not just understanding hotels, but understanding what key stakeholders and other departments can bring. Finance, sales, marketing, revenue, IT, all those different people play a role in that when you're putting together a project like this. Using to see data that's out there to build baselines and benchmarks. You might not understand what a good performance is for whatever you're trying to measure, but there's data out there. At least establish a baseline so you have a starting point. Hire smart, teach technical. This is something I've sort of lived and died by my whole career, is there's really smart people out there. They may not understand hospitality, but if you're trying to do data science or a project like this, hire really smart, I call them kids, makes me feel old, but hire really small kids coming out of school, teach them the hotel business. It's not rocket science, let's be honest. But the other stuff, the data science, the analysis, the math, the ability to use Excel, all that sort of stuff. Hire those smart kids that know that stuff. We can teach them hospitality. Hospitality is notoriously, in all parts of the world, behind the curve on this. So look at other progressive verticals. In particular, retail and entertainment are far ahead of us in terms of thinking about using data to impact their business, especially from a data visualization standpoint. There's a lot of good case studies out there from McKinsey and Gartner that illustrate this, but retail and entertainment are two really progressive ones that have things that can relate to our business. So communication, I talked about this. So here's 4 silos that are typically involved in a project like this. You got to break it down. You know, it's amazing to me around the world to see individual hotels and groups of hotels where marketing, sales, and revenue aren't even talking, let alone now we got to bring IT into the mix, and a lot of times finance as well. All those organizations have to work together when you're going to take on a project like this, because you're going to need data from all those different people or connectivity in the case of IT. So it's got to happen. So identify what data needs to be collected to ensure your rev gen process is optimized. So let's talk about that a little bit. So this is kind of a basic example of the things you need to do to put together a picture. So central res data, PMS data, POS if you have food and beverage operations, loyalty if you have that, web analytics, and media analytics. And I put those in orange because those are more marketing-oriented data sets, but really important in that big circle I showed of all the pieces. I mean, how important digital is in the guest journey and its impact on booking. So understanding those 2 pieces, in addition to this sort of revenue customer data and the purplish boxes, is really important. So into the data warehouse, we talked about it before. You have to have a way. I mean, a data warehouse can be a bunch of spreadsheets for you to begin with that you build pivot tables and pull it together. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, IBM Cognos or Oracle or, you know, a full-blown CRM system. Again, start small, get a win, proof of concept, show what you can do, and then you can build on that. So let's talk about the questions to ask. So you're thinking about doing this. So do I have access to the data ID? Typically, First question and the most challenging. It's easy to put those data buckets up on the screen and say I need access to all these, but the reality is that a lot of times the connectivity is not there, the ability to get it centralized is not there, but having access to the data you need. Do I have the support and alignment? We talked about it, I mentioned it like 10 times already. You've got to have it between the teams because you're going to need them. Do I have a tool or data warehouse to bring the data together? Again, whether that's Excel or an enterprise data warehouse, you have to have some sort of tool to look at this data. And then do I have clear and concise objectives and measurement against the business problem or problems that I'm trying to solve? And then last but not least, and I think this is a big one for hoteliers, and I saw it when I was on the hotelier side, I see it working with clients now. Are we really ready to learn from what the data is telling us? Are we ready to accept and take the emotion out of the decisions and the reaction? It tells us that our business may not be so great in a certain area, or it's really good, or we have this opportunity for optimization, or are we willing to accept that and actually learn from it and move forward and make the changes based on what it's telling us? That's hard. That's human emotion. It's a reaction. Take that out of the decision. It's tough. So I'm going to walk through 7 examples with you. We're going to start kind of basic, go to complex, start with some free tools, and with a couple that aren't, but I think are relevant for you all to see. So I'll talk about the business case for each, the tools that were used, and then we'll go from there. So example 1, measurement, determining the impact of marketing efforts and ad campaigns. So this is marketing oriented. So this is Google Analytics data and DoubleClick data, which is media data, paid media data. It could be a variety of different sources for that, but again, it's just data that you would have if you're doing media in-house and or if you had an agency partner doing digital media. So the tool used to put this together is Google Data Studio. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you look at it. It's free, it's easy to sign up. It can take all those spreadsheets we talked about. So if you can get a data export out of all those different systems we talked about, you can upload those individually and it'll pull it all together and you can do all these fancy data matching, start doing visualization. So very easy to use, takes the complexity out of it. You can actually get really in depth. We actually use it as an organization to build dashboarding for our enterprise clients can pull in lots of data sources. But so this is an example. So this is a Google Ad dashboard. Apologize, I gotta look at it up here. So apologize, my back's to you. So this is looking at 3 things over time. So this is looking at click-through rate impression. So this first area here. In the middle, we're looking at conversion rate and cost, and then cost per click. So how many impressions am I driving? How many clicks? What's my click-through rate over a time? And there's a variable there, year over year, or it looks like week over week, sorry. And then conversion rate and cost, and then which is conversion rate, and my cost per conversion. So what's it costing me to actually get that? And then my cost per click. So what did I spend, my average CPC, and then per 1,000, what's my actual cost there? So and all this data is dynamic. The great thing about this is it's all clickable. It's not just a pretty picture that you can send up and give to an owner or an executive leader in your organization. It's all clickable. So there's just a little example here in the corner. So you hover, in this case, it's just a hover over, but I can see there's why is my cost so high on this date? If I wanted to drill in, I could see the actual ad campaign, look at the detail. So a very easy, actually literally, if you had these 2 pieces of data and you load it into Google Data Studio, it takes about 10 minutes to build this visualization. It does all the heavy lifting for you. And that's complete with click-through, drill down, the whole piece. So kind of an easy way to start and think about it. Again, it's more marketing oriented if there's any marketers in the room. But as a revenue leader, it's important to understand, you can put a geo filter on this. So you may say to a marketing leader, hey, I really need more business from San Francisco. What's that look like? What are we doing? So you put a geo filter on. I'm going to show you what a geo filter looks like in a second with a specific media type. So now we're going to take what we just saw, but we're going to add e-commerce data into it. So we're going to understand what's the booking engine impact on that, and how does that, what's that look like? So I know what I'm spending, I know what I'm buying, and what it result in actual business that came through the booking engine. So in this case, it's Google Analytics again. It's double-click data. And in this case, this is actual State or Synexus booking engine. Again, they have Google's got a connectivity layer built in there. You can tie directly into your Synexus data. And there's a whole bunch of other booking engines, but in this case, it's Synexus. And it's Google Data Studio again. So my BI data visualization tool, there's no cost from that standpoint. So starting in the top here, so I get my e-commerce metrics. So gross sales, rooms, ADR, number of users, detail the cart, so how many people actually got to the cart, and then cart conversion, and this is over a time frame again. I get my sales by source in the middle, so how many came from a referral, direct, organic, social, paid search, and affiliates, and then my ad metrics. So the important thing in here is that, I know what I spent from an ad standpoint. I get my click-through rate, all the data we just looked at. I get my sales by source, so the paid piece is a smaller portion of the pie there. My organic and direct are much bigger, which is a good thing, right? Lower cost of acquisition, so I can see that right away. And then I got a really high level look at what kind of revenue am I generating from that. And again, now I can see it adds cost and conversion over time. So a little bit more complex. I'm actually getting some revenue data in there now. So I understand what am I driving from this. And then again, all these are clickable. So if I really want to understand why the heck is my cart conversion down 13.5% over this time period, I can click on that, drill in. It's going to give me the line level detail behind all that. And then I can look for the red flags. Where's the issue? So again, just a hover over here. So this just shows my cost conversion on this specific hover over was $18 versus the previous 14 days of $7. So I got, something's going on there. It's almost double plus on what I spent the previous 14 days. So what's going on? Again, I can drill in and click in on that. So this is an interesting one. So this is email transactional data. So this is using, similar to an A/B test, this is kind of an ABC test. This is taking email subject line lengths versus the type of email you're sending. You'll see here in a visualization what I mean. And then determining what's the best length of a subject email line to drive conversion at different points. So this is just basic email transactional data. And it's Excel or Google Sheets. So there's nothing fancy about it. You can get your email transactional data from your email provider, your CRM provider as an export, bring it into Excel, and then create this visualization. So I think that's really interesting, right? So what we're looking at is email open rates by subject line lengths. So yellow's 1 to 120 characters, 21 to 60 characters, and 61 plus is the light blue. And we got 4 buckets, right? So we have all emails. So propensity to open based on subject line, pretty flat. Shorter's a little better there, generally across the board. Welcome triggers, so welcome to the hotel, welcome to our email subscription, whatever that might be, kind of a generic email. Reactivation, so you're trying to get them to come back, do something, again, shorter is better. And then abandoned cart. Big difference there, right? Abandoned cart email that gets triggered off, and you're trying to drive revenue for an organization. More than double the amount of times will someone open an email with a shorter subject line. So you're talking about a revenue conversion point. The first 3 are, well, all emails would be included in abandoned, but generally the middle 2, probably not a revenue. You might have some deals or something in there, but the reality is that the abandoned cart, you're trying to incent them to come back. Shorter email subject line, more likely are to engage with that email and then drive revenue. So again, easy to do this in Excel with the data, the character count, easy Excel formula, you put it on the subject line and create this chart. Easy to do. Again, you don't have to go buy anything fancy, it's data that you already have. So this is optimization, recommending changes and tactics to improve results in a specific channel. So we talked about media, pay-per-click, that sort of thing. So I think it's interesting to look at things like YouTube. So we know how important video is now in the consumer purchasing funnel. And so we took a look at it. So this is Google Analytics and YouTube Analytics. Again, data that you have, and it could be Omniture or whatever your web reporting platform is, but it's data you have today. And if you're buying any media on YouTube through your agency or yourself, those analytics are there as well. So again, this is Google Data Studio. This is a predefined report that Google Data Studio has in place. So if you connect your two data pieces in here, you can create these visualizations in about 10 minutes. So at a high level, so this is over, looks like about a quarter or so. A little more than that. So we're looking at views, watch time, and how many shares. And you can see that over time. And then I masked the videos because it's client data. I masked it, but it shows you the top 10. I would say the names of the videos there, so you kind of see what that looks like in terms of the same thing: views, watch time, and video. And then you can start to drill in. So this is the things important like likes added and removed. Dislikes added and removed, so they liking it, not liking it. And then you can drill in on any of that over time. For example, in the middle of the likes, we had some spikes there in the middle. You might want to click in as a marketer and understand why that is. Subscriptions to the channel, very important metric. When you're publishing a lot of video, what's that look like? And then comments and video comments. You can actually drill in on any individual day or one of those lines and see the comments if something stands out, like in the 130 there. That last bar is really high. I probably want to click in and understand why to get so many comments and what video is that attributed to. And then you can get really fun because you can do geo-filtering, right? So in this case, I just looked at, we have the entire world here. So we can see based on the high end. So in this case, for this client, most of the views are coming in the States. They do have some in Europe, APAC, India, Australia, but not as much by density of color there. And then you can say, show me, all right, what's it look like then? Since the States are big, I can click on that, and then you get this visualization, which shows you that the darkest red, most of it's coming from New York, and then California, a little bit of the central US, and Florida. So again, then I can click into New York and say, all right, well, who's engaging with my content in New York? And you can actually get down to a really granular level. So again, important if you're a marketer or even a revenue leader, understanding what's video mean in terms of attribution to our business and how is it impacting it, and where do I need business from? If I need business from New York and it's a feeder market for my hotel in California or Singapore or wherever it is, video, in this case, would show video works. People in New York are engaging with it and they're watching it. They're spending 4.5 minutes on it or whatever the time is. How do I leverage that in my overall marketing and revenue strategy? So this is segmentation. So identifying groups and subgroups of customers and prospects. So there's two ways you can do this, but this requires a bunch of data. So this case, this is from an actual hotel. It's from a resort in South Florida. So this is PMS data, POS data, spa data, and CRM. In this case, I used our CRM tool because it already had all the data centralized. I used it to pull it out. You can either do the model in a BI tool, in case our CRM tool has a BI tool called Cognos, IBM Cognos. So you can use that, or you can get the data out of whatever system you have and use Excel or Google Sheets. So this is an interesting exercise, right? So this is a big resort, a couple thousand rooms in South Florida. And this is the impact of families on ADR and on property spend by MSA. So there's a marketing and a revenue lens on this. And I think it's really, really interesting. Again, this end product right here is a simple export into Excel and then a heat map laid on it. So I can easily look for the red. Where's the dark green? Where's the bright red? Showing me my opportunities and areas I want to continue to leverage. So what we're looking at here are top 10 MSAs, international all rolled into one in this case. It could be split out, but it's, and then the domestic US MSAs. So we got number of stays with kids, number of stays with no kids, ADR with kids, ADR no kids, length of stay with and without, and then spend per stay with and without. So if I'm a marketer, I'm looking at a couple things. So right away, I'm looking at international, ton of stays, right? 464, just outside of New York, my second highest in terms of number of stays. But my ADR is kind of right in the middle, right? 563. Leaves an opportunity. So what's going on there? So I'm going to look at that. So I'm probably going to get my revenue team, say, all right, we have an opportunity there. You know, it's international. Maybe it's consortium business or package. What's driving the ADR down versus the domestic? Because if you look at New York right behind it, it's almost $100 behind in terms of ADR. So something's driving that down. And then when I look at stays with kids, I look in the middle. You know, I've got New York, Chicago, DC, big feeder markets in South Florida, and I've got really great ADRs. So how do I get more? So as a marketer, I'm looking at that saying, wow, what an opportunity to get geo-targeted marketing in place for those markets, and then drive that high ADR business. So again, it's not overly complex. Getting all the data together and tracking and ensure that you understand how you're tracking families and guests in rooms and the geo markets and tracking revenue within all your systems, that's the heavy lift. That's the operational lift that has to happen first. Getting that data together is the second piece. Running these reports, it's easy to put them together. And these are really powerful. And this resort in particular uses this report all the time as they try to build their family business as a key portion of their revenue strategy. So this is an RFM model. So recency, frequency, monetary. So when's the last time they stayed? How often are they staying? And how much money are they spending? So again, this is the same resort. So this is PMS, POS, spa data, and CRM data all pulled together. In this case, this is an actual BI tool visualization. Could be done with tools like Tableau. You could actually do this in Excel. It'd be pretty complex. But nonetheless, so I think this is a really interesting way to look at the business. So we start down here in the corner, we've got our hibernating people. So don't stay very frequent, haven't been here, not spending a lot of money, not a lot of value, right? And then you go up this side, you got frequent stayers, but they haven't stayed in a long time. So that red, the orange into pink, you know, those are people we want to look at. And then going across the top, we got loyal customers. So they're pretty recent, frequent, spending good. We got our champions, right? And then we have people that are potential. They've stayed recently, but maybe not as much. And they kind of need attention in the middle. And these, you know, about to sleep, hibernating at risk. The actual names, those are just marketing terms for those types of customers. So why is this important, right? So when you have all this data together and you're looking at it together, your ability to leverage what you understand is your best guest. So that champions bucket up in the corner, I can click on that and then I can get a breakdown. I can understand how many of those people are weekday versus weekend, group versus leisure, the rate categories they fall into, the propensity to spend on property, all those different pieces. And then when I understand that, so when I know my best midweek guest looks like business traveler, stays 2.5 nights, will spend $400 a night, spends $400 in ancillary on property, I can hand that off to the marketing team and they can go out and they can do lookalike modeling. And they can say, all those people out in the world that are looking for hotels that might be coming to Austin, Texas, or Singapore, or London, or wherever it is in the world, I want to find more people that look just like my best guests. And that data is out there. Your first party data that you own, that we're looking at, and the third party data that's out in the world, that companies like Adara, and Sojourn, and American Express, and MasterCard, and Axiom all sell, all the social media channels, they sell that data. You can marry that together, and you can build these models that have a really significant return on your investment from a digital marketing standpoint. So then when you're sitting down as a marketer with a revenue leader and they're like, hey, we really need to grow our weekend group business from these 5 feeder markets, you can pull a model like this and actually click in and understand this is what it's going to look like, this is what we need, this is, and then your media partner, digital agency, whoever that is, or in-house can say, how do we, this is what it's going to cost, because the data is readily available. They can tell you, all right, if you really want to attack those markets, that's going to be I need $1,000 budget for the next 30 days, and we can expect this kind of conversion rate because we know you're very targeted. This isn't casting a net anymore. It's really understanding what your best guess looks like. So, while it's lots of pretty colors, the real power behind this is your ability to model these customers, so you can find more that look like the ones that are up in the champions corner, and how to get more of these people to shift from the 0 to 5 on both sides. So this is an interesting example. So this is a storytelling example. So this is communicating messages derived from data to inspire better decisions. This is really a group sales exercise. So this is Google Analytics data, Salesforce data, browser cookie data, and Pardot, which is a marketing automation tool. So this could be any CRM tool, a HubSpot, whatever you're using for marketing automation. And then there's a tool called Engagios, not a free product. This is really a B2B exercise. If we look at it from a group sales standpoint, I'm using Cendyn as an example in here when I show the visualization. But what Engagio does is it looks at how all your customers and potential customers are engaging with you across every channel electronically. And it shows you their by content piece and by title and all sorts of different things. So if I'm a group sales leader and I'm selling BT for a big group house hotel, like this for example, or a group business, whether it's group or BT, understanding what those clients do and how they're engaging with our content and their propensity, and maybe it's a group that I didn't even know was looking at us, you can now see that data within tools like this. So at a high level, this shows us engagement minute trend. So this is over a period of time. Top activities, so 3 pieces of content, how many interactions are with that, and then the top account. So in this case, a whole bunch of stuff, Instagram stuff, and then TFE, Hotel in Prague, and Almanac and Barcelona on top engagement over this specific set of dashboard. So again, it's high level, not a lot I can do with that, but I understand there's a lot of activities in specific content. Now I can look at most engaged accounts. So imagine if you're a hotel, you're a group sales leader, and you want to know, this could be Coke, Pepsi, Google, whatever your top accounts are you're looking at, understanding over time, who's engaging the most with us, and what are they doing? And again, you can click in and I'll show you in a second here. And what about by title, right? Understanding your ability to sell and drive business. Are the right people looking at the content that you're putting out? Content could be on social media, it could be on a blog, it could be on a website, video, any content type across the entire web. This will mine all that data, bring it in, and then really you're looking over here. Our C-level VP directors engaging with the content. So the darker the blue, the better. And then, from a quantity standpoint, outside the administration line, that's a separate bucket. But those top 2, sales and marketing, in our case, sales and marketing, I need directors, VPs, and C-level executives. So the influence, the recommendation, the decision maker. Are they engaging with the content? So a very simple visualization, but I know exactly who's looking at the content. So, we've had some conversations, we use this internally, and we have some conversations with hotels about how they leverage tools like this. And the interesting thing is that, and having been on the other side for a long time with sales and marketing, the group sales folks, they don't understand. They know, like, I had a conversation with Eli Lilly because they're a BT account, and we went and saw them. But beyond that, they have no idea or insight to how they're engaging with the hotel. And the idea of being able to see accounts that you want and understanding how they're engaging with you today, the ability to go be proactive with them and say, hey, I saw you engage with X, whatever X, it could be a group diagram, it could be a piece of social media content, and I'd like to talk to you about our hotels, or if you have questions, you're going in proactively, right? You're not going in blind, it's not a cold call anymore. And whether you're a vendor doing B2B or a hotel doing group sales, there's a lot of power in that tool. So key takeaways, and I'll take questions if you have them. So start small, I talked about it. Pick a business problem, identify the data sources and measurement, and solve it. One thing, simple. Pick one, solve it, learn from it, go a little bigger, then think about it at an enterprise level. Use that business case to buy the executive and owner buy-in, because at some point you're going to need money or people to do this. it starts with the A marketer or A revenue leader wanting to do something and show some results, but you're always going to, if it does, you're like, oh, get people excited, well, what's next? You're going to have that executive buy-in. Explore the tool sets that fits within your revenue and technology stack, and a data intelligence warehouse solution, whether that's a CRM or a tool like Tableau, whatever it is. It could be Excel. You might just say, hey, all we can afford is Excel, so let's tackle things that we can bring together in Excel, and then use Google Data Studio as a free tool to create those visualizations. And last but not least, test, learn, adjust, repeat. You have to go in that cycle. It's not a set it and forget it thing with this. All those examples I showed you, that last one with Engagio, that was built that in January when I did it in New York. I didn't update the visualization, but that product has changed, and our thinking about how we track that is engaged. So, because we learned a bunch of things over the last 6 months. So just know it's never final. There's always adjustments required, and as long as you're learning from it, you'll be able to make an impact. Thank you.
Thank you.